All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 116 of Sports Hype. Do have a lot to get through today as there's been a lot of NFL news ramping up to the NFL season, which did start tonight. Ravens Chiefs on right now for those interested. So we're going to start with the Cowboys finally signing wide receiver Ceedee Lamb. Ceedee and the Cowboys agreed on a 4-year, $136 million extension. It includes $100 million guaranteed and a wide receiver record $38 million signing bonus. He is now the second highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL history. So we will provide our feedback on what this means for the Cowboys as well as for CeeDee Lamb. Another wide receiver holdout ended over this past week as well, with Brandon Ayuk agreeing on a 4-year, $120 million extension with the 49ers, which includes $76 million guaranteed. So we'll go through what that means for the 49ers as well as Ayuk. And then a lot of record-breaking deals this week. Broncos and Pat Surtain II reached an agreement on a 4-year, $96 million deal contract extension, which included $77.5 million guaranteed, which makes him the highest paid defensive back in NFL history. He is now the highest paid cornerback on a per year basis as well in the NFL at $24 million per year. So we'll provide our feedback on what that move means for the Broncos as well as Surtain II. Then the Falcons signed cornerback A.J. Terrell to a 4-year, $81 million extension that included $65.8 million fully guaranteed. This makes Terrell the second highest paid cornerback in the NFL. It is also the largest guarantee for a corner on a 4-year deal. So we'll share our thoughts on what this means for the Falcons and Terrell. The Commanders and guard Sam Cosmi agreed on a 4-year, $74 million contract extension, which includes $45 million guaranteed. We will go through what this means for the Commanders, specifically their rookie Jaden Daniels, as they kept their best guard, in my opinion, to protect him, as well as Sam Cosmi. And then the Chiefs and center Creed Humphrey agreed to a 4-year, $72 million extension, which includes $50 million guaranteed. This makes Humphrey the highest paid center in the NFL. We will go through what this means for the reigning champion Chiefs as well as Creed Humphrey. Then the 49ers ended another holdout this past week. They ended Trent Williams' holdout by guaranteeing the next 2 years of his contract. This equates to $48 million and includes the addition of $7.6 million in salary this season, which is effectively ending his holdout. Williams has 3 years remaining on his contract and will make $27.65 million in cash this season, which is the most of any offensive lineman in the league. So we'll provide our feedback on what this move does for the 49ers as well as Trent Williams. And I'm sure the Steelers fan over there is very happy about this one. The Steelers and defensive end Cam Hayward agreed on a new 3-year, $45 million contract, which includes $15 million in the signing bonus and $16 million guaranteed, as well as $29 million in new money. So we'll share our thoughts on what this means for the Steelers as well as Hayward. Excited to hear the Steelers fans' thoughts on that. And the Steelers' rivals, the Cleveland Browns, signed Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah to a 3-year deal worth up to $39 million with $25 million guaranteed. So we'll provide our feedback on this contract as well as what it means for the Browns and Owusu-Koramoah. The Bengals agreed on a 3-year, $16.5 million extension with kicker Evan McPherson. He will earn $10 million in new money the first year of the deal, which is the highest ever for a 3-year kicker extension. So we'll go through what that means for the Bengals as well as McPherson. And the Vikings signed cornerback Stephon Gilmore to a 1-year, $10 million deal, which includes $7 million guaranteed. So we will share our thoughts on what this does for the Vikings as well as their defense specifically. And Justin Simmons signed a 1-year, $8 million deal with the Atlanta Falcons. This deal includes $7.5 million guaranteed, and we will go through what this means for the Falcons as well as Simmons. And then the Steelers named Russell Wilson as their starting quarterback. If you guys weren't aware, there was a controversy about that given Wilson's health. This calf injury did appear again today, so Justin Fields might end up getting the start week 1 if Russell Wilson isn't healthy. But if Russell Wilson is healthy, he will start. So we'll go through what this means for the Steelers. J.J. McCarthy, unfortunately, his rookie season ended a lot earlier than many hoped. He underwent knee surgery on a torn meniscus. He is now out for the entire season. So we'll share our thoughts on what this means for the Vikings as well as J.J. McCarthy. And the Seahawks' top edge rusher, Uchenna Nwosu, suffered a sprained MCL and is expected to miss anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. So we'll go through what this means for Seattle. And to round it out, Marquise Brown suffered a sternoclavicular joint dislocation. He is out for 4 to 6 weeks, although he is progressing very well, and rumors are he could be back by week 2. So a lot sooner than they expected. But nonetheless, we'll provide our feedback on what this means for the Chiefs moving forward. But like I said, we will start with the Cowboys and wide receiver Ceedee Lamb agreeing on a 4-year, $136 million extension. So what's your thoughts on this, Gio? Oh, you're muted, by the way.
It's very unnecessary in my opinion. Here's the reason why. What happens during a player's contract negotiation year?
I mean, they play better.
They play a lot better.
But I don't think, as a Cowboys fan, I do not think that Ceedee Lamb would have played if he had not gotten a new deal, personally.
No, that's also on the back end of it, right? Where if you play that risk, he might not play. Here's the thing with me. When you look at Dak Prescott, this is the second time he's been extended.
Dak didn't get extended.
Dak didn't get extended yet?
No.
He didn't get a contract yet?
Not
Good.
yet.
Good. He shouldn't.
Okay.
We saw the last time he got extended. No offense to Dak. He's a great quarterback. You've mentioned a lot of, his great talent, top 10 quarterback, top 5 type quarterback in the league. When you look at Dak Prescott the year after he got extended, what happened to his numbers?
They did dip. You're right.
They did. Right. So I'm thankful that Dak Prescott didn't get extended. Yes, Ceedee definitely deserves the money, but we got to see what he does this year. Because if they both get extended, if they both somehow get their contracts that they want without a Super Bowl, then that's a problem.
I mean, I'm going to be honest right now. We're not getting a Super Bowl. In my eyes, we're not. Our team's not good enough for it, in my opinion.
How is that possible when last year everybody thought the Cowboys were going to go ahead and win the Super Bowl when they have pretty much the same defense, right? Yeah, you lost your defensive coordinator in Dan Snyder. So what? Okay, you still have the pieces there to make it happen. Your offense has gotten better. You actually, yes, you lost Tony Pollard, but you did get Zeke back. You got a couple other good things going on for you in offense. So I do believe you guys can make things happen. You just mentioned, I believe in the last podcast, how your rookie receivers are performing well in practice, performing well in OTAs. So, yes, they can perform well in the season. It all depends on if Dak Prescott can play to his standards.
I agree, but I think Ceedee deserved the bag, in my opinion. He deserved this type of money, and he needed this type of money because I think, like I said, I don't think he would have played if we didn't give him this deal. He was holding out all the way until we gave him the deal. He was not going to play in my eyes. And if he doesn't play, Dak Prescott would have had his worst season of his career. Like that, Ceedee Lamb, in my opinion, is what makes Dak Prescott a great quarterback. He's like Travis Kelce to Patrick Mahomes. He gets open when Dak Prescott is under pressure or getting rushed, getting hurried, whatever it may be. He always finds Ceedee Lamb. Without Ceedee, I think this offense would have looked absolutely terrible. And I think that's why the Cowboys went ahead and was like, okay, we need to give you whatever you want, and got the deal done.
But then again, here's the thing with me and the NFL right now, and with the draft, you have so many great talents that within 1 to 2 years of playing in the NFL, will be better than Ceedee Lamb. Will be better than 95% of the receivers out there.
I wouldn't say that. I think Ceedee's a top 5 receiver, and that's why he got paid like one.
He's a top 5 receiver. But guess what? You have players coming in here. You just had Worthy running into the end zone, right? For Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
As a rookie. Doing this right now.
Yeah.
Okay? You had Puka last year. Going insane. People are saying he's a top 10 receiver right now. 1 year. Look what's going on. The talent's there. If people want the bag, they have to be worried. They have to play better. They have to play their best. They have to win a Super Bowl. That's when you get the bag. Okay?
I mean, Super Bowls really anymore. Super Bowls don't mean anything anymore. Let's just put that out there. In the NFL, it does not matter if you win a Super Bowl or not anymore. It just matters if you put up the stats, which Ceedee has, which is why he got the bag.
But it should matter. Super Bowl should matter. That's the whole point of this game, is to win.
I mean, it's not Ceedee's fault, though, that the Cowboys defense played absolutely terrible against Green Bay. He did his part.
It's not. And I completely understand the perspective of the individual, right? But being understanding of the cap space, being understanding what comes first is winning. And if you're not winning, then you shouldn't get paid.
Yeah, I agree. But the NFL has changed and they pay their best players whether they're winning or not. Because if they don't pay those best players, in their minds, I think is what happens if they don't pay them is that they'll continue to get worse. So they make sure that they keep them.
And that's okay. Guess what? Let those best players walk. Because like I said, you have people coming into the draft that are going to be 95% better, like Puka, like Worthy. They're going to be better than 95% of the league in a 1 to 2 year span to where, okay, look at this. The power is not going to be in the players' hands anymore if the front office plays like that. The front office makes decisions based upon what's going to happen with the talent in the next coming years in the draft. Then all the power goes back to the front office, and it's out of the players' hands, and the players they're going to be forced to play well, and they're going to have to be forced to play on the field no matter what the contract's going to look like. Because look at what Jamar Chase is going to do. He's going to sit out. He's not getting that contract extension. He's going to do exactly what Ceedee Lamb would have done if he didn't get that contract. All right, let's see what Jamar Chase does, right? If he walks, let him walk. But guess what? There's going to be another guy to replace him in the upcoming years.
Yeah, I could see that thinking. It's a little risky, but I could see it for sure. I just don't think the NFL will ever go back to that. They used to do that. Like they used to let them sit and then let them walk. But
Right.
the NFL has just changed it so much that they're like, I can't let you walk. I got to give you whatever you want. And I think that's why the players take advantage because they know what's going to happen in the end.
But it's terrible. That's not what it shouldn't be. Two sides forcing each other to make a move, right? It should be two sides working together to create a compromised type of contract, right? To where we can still give you the money, we can still give you the bag, but we can also use that kind of cap space to win. And that's what the whole point of it is, right? Are you going to be that selfish to where you're going to ruin Dak Prescott's legacy? You're going to ruin Micah Parsons' legacy? You're going to ruin, Trayvon Diggs' legacy because you want the bag now? You don't want it later on with the Super Bowl?
I mean, even if we kept the cap space, let's be honest, Jerry Jones's track record suggests he wouldn't have done anything no matter what.
I completely understand that, okay? But the whole point of this argument is what I believe. I believe he should have got it? No. I don't care what the heck Jerry Jones thinks right now. It's based upon what we think, right? This is the question. And I personally believe that he didn't deserve it based upon the fact that he hasn't won a Super Bowl yet. The team deserves a Super Bowl. I think those players deserve a Super Bowl, especially Micah Parsons, especially Dak Prescott. In order to do that, you need the cap space. And even if it's not this year, like you said, next year, try to get some of those players. But obviously, like you said, Jerry Jones isn't going to do that. But as a GM, as front office manager, right? That's the move that I would have done. That's how I would have tried to compromise that type of, that situation and that contract.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I personally would have paid Ceedee like they did because he's our best receiver. And without him, like I said, Dak Prescott would have had his worst year because I don't think Ceedee would have touched the field. And that would have severely hurt the Cowboys. And they probably wouldn't have even won double-digit games without Ceedee. So I think he does deserve it. He did deserve this money. He is a top 5 receiver, and he will continue to put up top 5 receiver stats. But I do agree with you with the point on Dak. As much as I love Dak Prescott and I do want him to stay a Cowboy, and there is a risk of not extending him because he does have all the leverage and can walk as a free agent. At the same time, Dak Prescott, as much as I love him, he is turning into another Tony Romo who doesn't win when it matters. And the Cowboys are sick of seeing that happen, specifically Jerry Jones. And that's why he's waiting, I believe.
I mean, I still believe, look at what happened with Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, right? Those guys.
I don't think Ceedee's going to be like that, though, personally.
No, I don't think he's going to be like. I'm just saying, look at what happened. Look at where the Steelers are, and look what happened to those two guys. To me, that's enough said.
That's a what?
To me, that's enough said. Look at where the team is realistically, right? We're still in the hunt. We're still in playoff contention. Right? Yeah. Even this year, I think this is the best chance we can go to the Super Bowl. All we were missing was a quarterback, right?
Right.
But the whole thing is we have a competent front office.
Correct.
Okay. If you have a competent front office, you can let these type of star players go.
Yeah, but that's the problem. The Cowboys don't. So until they get a competent front office, they can't afford to let these star players go. I guarantee you, if we let Dak go, say we let Dak go next year, I guarantee you, Jerry Jones won't draft a quarterback. Instead, he'll say Trey Lance. Like, he's just not smart, and I don't trust anything he does. So that's why, in my eyes, we need to keep the star players intact, because if we don't, we're just going to have at least a 5-year stretch where we win 4 or 5 games a year.
And I completely understand that type of logic, right, with the Dallas Cowboys. It's just you're trying to reason an unreasonable situation, right? You can't reason anything that the Cowboys do. You can't reason with what's gonna happen, right, with the Cowboys. The fact is that he's so unpredictable. He doesn't make any rational decision that either way, you're gonna look at the decision and say, wow, he really messed up, or we could have done something else. You know what I'm saying? Either way, it's a lose-lose situation with Jerry Jones. It's very unfortunate for you guys, right? Because either way, I don't see you guys winning the Super Bowl within the next 10 years, if not 2 decades, depending on how long that man lives.
Yeah, I mean, I've come to the conclusion, which is why I said earlier, we're not winning a Super Bowl. After last year, I've come to the conclusion. After this past offseason, actually, I've come to the conclusion, as long as Jerry Jones is the owner and his son is the co-owner or whatever he is, we're not touching a Lombardi trophy. So until he sells the team or passes away or whatever happens, we're not. I'm honestly, even after he passes away, we might not touch it for 2 decades, like you said, because of the fact that we're going to have to deal with his son, who's even worse after him. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, I think Ceedee deserved it. I was very happy that he got his bag because, as I said, I mean, as long as he's on the field, we have a chance to win, at least in the regular season. We wait and see what happens with the playoffs every year. Probably the same thing that always happens, unfortunately, as much as I hate to say it. But overall, his stats prove that he does deserve this money, and I'm glad that he got it. And hopefully he can stay a Cowboy for as long as it takes to win a Super Bowl.
See, you worded that perfectly. You said, based upon his stats, he deserves that money. Right. As a player, he deserves everything in the world. What he does on the field, as a showman, as just a straight talent on the field, he deserves everything he's getting. But the thing is, to me, this is why I'm trying to rebuttal that. Like, I completely understand as a player, he totally deserves this. Just when you look at the whole team aspect of it, when you look at the ultimate goal as the Dallas Cowboys franchise, what is our end result? Are we trying to just pay our players? Are we just trying to give a good show throughout the whole season? Or are we trying to win a Super Bowl like every other team? Are we trying to win that number 7? Are we trying to go ahead and be one of the top teams in the league once again?
Honestly, I think Jerry Jones lost that desire a long time ago, to be honest.
And that's what's sad. Because it's not respecting the game, right?
It's not respecting his fans. Let's just put it that way.
Not respecting his fans. Like LeBron James said, I will walk away from the game when I can't give any more into the game and I can't respect it to all its abilities, right? That's what he always says.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones needs to step away because he is defacing the game of football right now.
But he won't. You know why? Because the Cowboys are worth $1 billion and he's rich. So you're telling me your franchise is worth $1 billion and you can't, throw $8 million at Derrick Henry.
Right.
What's that logic?
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate situation, but overall, I mean, the Cowboys aren't going to win anytime soon, which is why they decided to keep Ceedee, and I think it's the right move. And I think they'll ultimately decide to keep Dak, whether it's before the season or after the season, and hopefully they surprise people this year. I guess we wait and see, including me, because as a fan, my hope for this year is very, very slim to none, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I'd be in
But
that team.
moving on to another top receiver, Brandon Ayuk, agreeing on a 4-year, $120 million extension, which includes $76 million guaranteed. There was a rumor that he could potentially go to the Steelers. Me and Gio were sold that he would. So what's your thoughts on this as a Steelers fan? I know you're a little upset.
Am I upset? I believe in the guys we have right now.
Pickens,
But it definitely
Pickens,
helps.
and Pickens, and who else?
Pat Frymouth.
Okay.
Those are the guys I got. I got Najee Harris. I got Jalen Warren. I mean, if we have our backs playing well,
Mhm.
and we have
Yeah.
George Pickens, I think we can go through the ceiling. That's how much potential we have with this team. But all that being said, Brandon Ayuk, I really think the whole ploy to go to the Steelers was just to get the bag in San Fran.
Well, the thing is, bro, this offer was on the table since August 18th, and he was trying to get more money. He is not, in my eyes, he's a great receiver. Don't get me wrong. Brandon Ayuk is great. He's not worth not even this much money, but more than this? Come on now.
No, he was the third or fourth option on that team. That being said, you need to keep him on this team as much as possible because he will help you win a Super Bowl. They
Oh yeah,
were
he's
so
gonna help.
close last
I'm not
year.
saying he's not. I'm not saying he's not gonna help them. I'm just saying the fact that he tried to get more money than he already got and what was already on the table is kind of crazy to me.
It is pretty crazy, but at the same time, I think he is just like anybody else out there. He's trying to make enough money so that he can be financially set, that his family can be financially set, and future generation can be financially set. That's what everybody's trying to do in the NFL and in any pretty much professional league.
Yeah.
So that being said, might as well shoot for the stars, get as much as you can, and run away with it.
I mean, even he said that in the end, I think he said it yesterday. In the end, he probably made it a little bit harder than it had to be. But the only thing that matters, like you said, is that the 49ers kept him because he is, even though he's the third or fourth option, he is probably the most important option. Without him, I think they would have struggled because Deebo Samuel would have got more attention. George Kittle would have got more attention. It wouldn't have been the same offense without him. So, and like you said, they were so close to winning the Super Bowl last year. They just, honestly, they just ran into Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. That's all that happened. If they didn't run into the Kansas City Chiefs, they probably would have ended up winning the Super Bowl. But unfortunately for them, they ran into the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, and you know who the Kansas City Chiefs are?
Who's that?
Comparable to the 96 Bulls, pretty much.
So you said they're going to three-peat. So are you going to you're going to stick with that prediction?
He three-peats. He's the greatest player to play the game.
Over Tom Brady already.
Over Tom Brady.
That's bold. I mean, he did just set, I think it's his fourth or fifth season. He already set the Chiefs passing yards record at 28,576 or something like that. So, I mean, his track record is at it. I'm not going to say he's a GOAT yet, but at the end of his career, he is on track to be the GOAT. He's on track to dethrone Tom Brady. I'll say it that way.
I don't think he's on track. Why not? When people had LeBron James as being the best player ever in 2016.
To me, it's solely because, yeah, he has 3 rings, but Tom Brady had 7. He has to catch up there a little bit more from before I say yes.
I don't think he has to because you said he has 3 right now, right?
Yes.
Okay. He three-peats. He's got 4.
Correct.
Okay. That means he's only 3 rings away.
Yes.
How many does LeBron James have?
4.
Okay. And you're telling me, like you said, Patrick Mahomes is winning in this statistic, that statistic, whatever the case may be. He's winning in pretty much every statistic on the board.
Yeah, but if you look at overall stats of their entire careers, Mahomes hasn't beat, or not Mahomes, Brady still hasn't beaten a lot of them.
Right. But you look at the fact that the challenges that Patrick Mahomes has had to face, the teams that he brought to the Super Bowl, the teams that he beat in the Super Bowl, right? All has to
Yes.
be considered and be factored in. Tom Brady arguably had one of the greatest teams ever accumulated, right? When he won his Super Bowls in New England.
Yeah. But I would also say they were down 28-9 and came back and won that.
Against
The
Falcons.
Falcons.
Okay. We're talking about Matt Ryan right now.
Hey, he was good back then.
We're also talking about who was the head coach.
Who was the head coach? That's a good question. I don't even remember. That was a while ago.
Exactly. So that being my point, Patrick Mahomes had to go against the San Francisco 49ers. He had to go up against the Baltimore Ravens, and then he also had to go up against, I know everyone hates them, but the gauntlet that the Buffalo Bills were. They were a great team. They were one of the best teams put together. And for like a 3 or 4 year stretch, if they did not have to go up against the Kansas City Chiefs, they would have won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, you look at what Patrick Mahomes is doing. You look at all the great players. He's just destroying legacies. Like, he's destroying legacies at this point by
He's making his own legacy.
He's making his own legacy. He's destroying legacies. I mean, you look at Michael Jordan and you say, why aren't these guys compared more? You look at what happened to Charles Barkley. You look at the other multitude of players that Michael Jordan destroyed their legacies. Karl Malone being in, for one of them. You look at, Gary Payton, right? You look at, that whole Supersonics team, the Jazz team. You look at, the Suns. You look at everybody, right?
I mean, at the end of his career, I will be not even at the end of his career. Give it a few more years, I'll be ready. Just not yet, personally.
But my whole point being, people had LeBron James being the greatest player even before he was like legitimately, had a case, right? The eye test, Patrick Mahomes' eye test is by far greater than Tom Brady's.
That's a little crazy. I mean, Tom Brady, in my opinion, is more accurate than Patrick Mahomes.
In the pocket, yes. But you look at the stuff that he does outside the pocket. You look at that's why he's called the magician, is because you look at what he does on the fly.
I mean, it's also not Tom Brady's fault that he wasn't born very athletic, though.
I also think that's also fake, because you look at what he did and you look at where he ended. The man's 47 years old and he still can dunk on a 10-foot rim. You're telling me that's not athleticism?
I mean, he's not as fast as Patrick Mahomes. That's what I meant.
Oh, yes. Obviously, speed does take a part in it. But when you look at the fact that Tom Brady couldn't have thought of like these scoop and dishes that Patrick Mahomes is doing in the red zone, you look at the underhanded throws that he's doing, you look at everything he's doing. He's doing the Arch Manning underhand throw. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Just the thought process, the quick thinking that Patrick Mahomes has. And to read these types of moves, these types of plays in a millisecond.
Yeah, I mean, he's by far the greatest quarterback in the league right now. And at the end of his career, he will be the GOAT. I'm just personally not ready to say he is yet.
But you think he needs to win more championships? Is that the only reason?
Yeah, I just need to see him. I'd say if he three-peats, he's going to get a lot closer, like you said.
And to me, that puts him over it, because Tom Brady never three-peated.
That's very true. But getting back to the Brandon Ayuk, anything else you wanted to add?
With Brandon, no. I mean, it was a good contract, great move for them. Let's see what they got to do this year.
Yeah, like I said, very, very important. They kept him under contract. It would have hurt them a lot if they did have to trade him. So very good job by the 49ers to make sure that they kept him in a 49er uniform.
Yeah.
But moving on to the Broncos and Patrick Surtain II reaching an agreement on a 4-year, $96 million deal, which includes $77.5 million guaranteed, which makes him the highest paid defensive back in NFL history and the highest paid cornerback on a per year basis in the NFL at $24 million per year. So what's your thoughts on this signing?
I like it. I mean, you look at what's going on in Denver, you need something to look forward to.
Mhm.
You got Bo Nix. You have him. I mean, this is a great thing. They're moving forward in the right direction. I like what they're doing out in Denver. Sean Payton's still the head coach, even though he had problems with Russ. He's still a great coach. He, pretty much reinvigorated Drew Brees' career, right? So
Mhm.
we'll see what happens. I like what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a very, very good move by the Broncos because Patrick Surtain is their best defender and not only their best defensive back. So that alone is a big reason why they re-signed him. And I think it was a huge deal that they re-signed him because if they did let him go, honestly, their defense was the only reason they were winning, I think, 6 games last year because their defense were holding teams to 10, 17 points a game. Without Patrick Surtain, you're not going to do that. He single-handedly takes away the other team's best receiver, and without him, they would not have been able to do that. So I think this is a great signing by the Broncos. The future is looking bright. I mean, it's still going to be a little growing pains for the next 2-3 years, I'd say, but give them 2-3 years, especially with Bo Nix back there at quarterback. Let them develop for a few years. I think they could be back on the map in a few years.
I definitely agree with that.
But moving on to the Falcons signing cornerback AJ Terrell to a 4-year, $81 million contract extension, which includes $65.8 million fully guaranteed. This makes AJ Terrell the second highest paid cornerback in the NFL and is also the largest guarantee ever for a corner on a 4-year deal. What's your thoughts on this deal?
I mean, good for him. I mean, it doesn't mean anything to me. Congratulations getting that bag, right? Being the second highest. At the end of the day, is anybody going to care if you don't win a Super Bowl?
No.
Right. So, I mean, it's good, but the Falcons are nowhere near being top of the NFC right now.
I mean, I'm hearing a lot of bold takes that the Falcons are going to make a deep run in the playoffs.
Who is telling you that stuff?
Like,
Because
no one tells me. I just see it on Instagram.
You just see on what?
Instagram.
Those people are wrong.
I agree. I think the Falcons will win 10 games this year. I think they go 10-7.
They can.
But when it comes to the playoffs, Kirk Cousins has a history of falling apart, and I don't think that's going to change.
And not only that, you have to go through the Eagles, you have to go through Detroit, you have to go through San Fran, you have to go through you guys, you have to go through,
the list goes on.
Seattle.
Like, I mean, they're not like I'm hearing people say, "Oh, Falcons are going to make a NFC Championship. Falcons are going to make the second round, the Super Bowl." I'm like, they might not even make the playoffs, let alone get out of the first round if they even make the playoffs.
Don't even forget who's in their division. They're not going to even be the top team in their division.
The Bucs are in the division.
Yeah.
And the Saints, which I'm not worried about the Saints personally. And then the Panthers. Who's worried about the Panthers? So I'd say it's between the Falcons and Bucs to be 1 or 2 in that division. But in my eyes, I got to give the edge to the Bucs based on what they did last year.
Right.
But this extension is a good move for the Falcons because he is their best defensive back and one of their best defensive players. Without him, they would have struggled. And their defense was their best part of them last year. So without him, they would have really struggled. So good move by the Falcons to re-sign AJ Terrell. But like you said, I don't think it will do much for them record-wise. I don't think it's going to improve them drastically. But moving on to the Commanders and guard Sam Cosmi agreeing on a 4-year, $74 million contract extension, which includes $45 million guaranteed. So what's your thoughts on this, Gio?
Who was it?
Guard Sam Cosmi for the Commanders.
Yeah, I mean they need to protect who's the quarterback?
Aiden Daniels.
That's right. Aiden Daniels is a great quarterback, great young talent. I mean, he was a top pick for a reason. So we'll see what happens, but you need to protect him in order to have a good future, and I think this is the right move.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is very important for the Commanders to do. Obviously, I don't think they'll be a great team this year, but they might be better than people expect. I mean, they could be a sleeper team in the NFC East. But we'll see what happens. I do think this is a very important move by them, though, because of the fact that, like you said, they have to protect their rookie quarterback, especially since he's a rookie. I mean, you look what happened with Bryce Young last year in Carolina. He had no time to throw, and his confidence just continued to dwindle as the season went on. Same thing would have happened with Jaden Daniels if the Commanders didn't re-sign Sam Cosmi. So I think this is a great move for them, and hopefully it works out for them not only this year but in the future as well.
For sure.
But moving on to the team that's playing right now, Chiefs and center Creed Humphrey agreed to a 4-year, $72 million extension, which includes $50 million guaranteed. This made Humphrey the highest paid center in the NFL. So what's your thoughts on this?
It's a necessary move. I mean, if you have to, like I just said about McDaniels, right? You have to protect the greatest quarterback, in my opinion, of all time. And doing so, you just signed probably one of the most, I want to say, if it's not quarterback, and it's not a linebacker or a defensive end, right?
Mm-hmm.
The most important position, in my opinion, is the center position. Without that, you don't have a leader on your offensive line. You don't have anybody doing play calls, anybody doing, looking at the reads or anything like that. And he has to protect the quarterback. I mean, it is one of the most important positions in football. So good for them, good for him. But even better, good for Patrick Mahomes, because without him, you never know what could happen with the Kansas City's success.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Creed Humphrey, centers in general don't get the recognition they deserve. Creed Humphrey has been the best center in the league for a while now, and actually, since Jason Kelce retired, yeah. One of the best centers in the league for a while now, and I think he finally got the recognition he deserved, and that is why the Chiefs re-signed him to a 4-year, $72 million deal. So I think this is a very good move by the Chiefs, and like you said, it doesn't only help the Chiefs, but it helps more importantly Patrick Mahomes and their offense, because Patrick Mahomes now continues to have time to throw, continues to have time to roll out, find an open guy like Travis Kelce if he's under pressure. And I mean, the fact that centers don't even get the credit they deserve for snapping the ball, blocking a pass rusher like Myles Garrett over you is hard enough. But first you have to snap the ball, and then you have to get your hands up fast enough to make sure he doesn't beat you. So the fact that he does that on a consistent basis and keeps Mahomes off the ground a majority of the time shows that he's a very good center and he deserves this deal. So very, very good job by the Chiefs to make sure they kept their Pro Bowl center to protect their Pro Bowl quarterback.
For sure.
Moving on to the 49ers guaranteeing the next 2 years of Trent Williams' contract, which equates to $48 million and includes the addition of $7.6 million in salary this season, which effectively ended his holdout this past week. Williams does have 3 years remaining on his contract, and he will make $27.65 million in cash this season, which is the most of any offensive lineman in the league. So how do you feel about this move, Gio?
I love it. I mean, for this to happen, prove himself. I feel like I love how offensive linemen are, like you said, they're getting the recognition they deserve now. They're getting paid like it. So,
yeah, I agree. I mean, Trent Williams, yes, he's a little up there in age, but he is still one of the best tackles out there, one of the best O-linemen out there. Without him, the 49ers probably would have had a very hard time blocking for Brock Purdy, which would have hurt their offense. So they definitely had to find a way to make sure they kept him in a 49er uniform, which they were able to do right before the season started. So kudos to them. And I also really love this deal because Trent Williams deserves this type of money and deserves recognition that he got from the 49ers.
Right.
Moving on to the Steelers and defensive end Cam Hayward agreeing on a new 3-year, $45 million contract, which includes $15 million in a signing bonus, $16 million guaranteed, and $29 million in new money. So what's your opinion on this, Gio?
I love it. I mean, for him to stay is huge. It's very worrisome because he is getting older that he's just going to call it quits. Right at the end of one of these seasons, he's just going to be like, I'm done. But this secures his future. This secures that he's going to at least hopefully be with us for the next 2 years. He might retire after 2 years and call it quits. You never know. But at least we have 2 years. We have a 2-year Super Bowl window to where we can lock in try to go deep into the playoffs this year. It's not a Super Bowl or bust. We'll see what happens in their quarterback situation. We'll see what goes on with Russ Fields. We'll see what goes on with, Najee Harris. He's obviously, I believe he's on a contract extension talks as well. You look at Jalen Warren, TJ Watt, our defense, see how that defense gels with Patrick Queen in there. So realistically, I'm not too worried about this year winning the Super Bowl. Next year, at least we have a 2-year window to where we need to win a Super Bowl within the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a great move by the Steelers because Cam Hayward next to TJ Watt can't get any better than that on a defensive line. So I think this is a great move by them and very important move by them. But like you said, his clock is ticking. I believe he will retire within the next 2, maybe 3 years. Maybe he knows he's going to retire after this contract, which is why he signed a 3-year deal. But at least 2 years, like you said. So as long as Omar Khan continues to do what he did this past offseason and make the team better, if they don't make the Super Bowl this year, hopefully in the next few years, you guys will be able to make sure Cam Hayward does retire on top with a Super Bowl trophy in his hands. But overall, great move by the Steelers because Cam Hayward, even though he is getting up there in age, he is still one of the best defensive players and defensive linemen in the league.
Right.
But moving on to the Browns and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah agreeing to a 3-year deal worth up to $39 million and $25 million guaranteed. So what's your thoughts on this signing, Gio?
I like it. I mean, I'm not going to ever turn down the fact that the player is going to get their bag, right?
Right.
But that being said, it's just good. Glad they can go forward. They're signing their great players, right? Like this guy.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's not going to be enough to beat Kansas City. It's not going to be enough to beat, say San Fran or Detroit. It's just not enough.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is very important that they kept him because he is one of their best defensive players. But on the other hand, you still didn't do enough in the offseason prior to signing him to get you over the hump. So
it's like, what the heck? I love how these teams do this, right? It's okay, we don't help our team, right? Try to win a Super Bowl. We don't try to progress our team and add on pieces that we need in order to win a Super Bowl. Why don't we just keep playing or paying our great players that we have? Let's not move. Let's stay stagnated in the same mediocre area that we are in right now. How does that make any sense?
As I said earlier in the podcast, I know it all too well with the Dallas Cowboys.
How the heck is it
It doesn't. In a fan's perspective, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
But in a franchise perspective, somehow it makes sense to them. I don't know how.
But it doesn't make any this is what I'm saying. Like you just said, the fans' perspective. We're not general managers. We're not part of the front office. But it seems pretty cut and dry on how to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, 100%. You have to draft well, 1. You have to keep those players, 2.
Yeah. And add pieces.
3, you have to add pieces.
But here's the thing: we're probably not as good as to look at the talent, right? Look at those, sleeper picks. Definitely look at the stuff that why they're professionals at.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
But the algorithm to winning Super Bowl is pretty cut and dry.
I mean, the same thing goes for. I know we're not talking about NBA, but the same thing goes for NBA. You have to do the same thing.
Right. I mean, you look perfect example. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs, right? They don't go to the Super Bowl.
They drafted perfectly with Patrick Mahomes.
Right. Go ahead, say that. Yeah. Let's just say it. How is this Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, right? You look at all these great players.
Their entire team they drafted, and then they kept them throughout their careers.
Right. But then you add on like a Juju Smith-Schuster, where they didn't go to the Super Bowl. They add him on. They go to the Super Bowl, a much-needed piece, right? They add on
this year they add on Xavier. This year they add on Xavier Worthy. They add on Rashee Rice.
Right. So it's like they keep the players that they need. They keep winning. They add stuff that they can get better at. That is what a winning franchise does. That's what the Pittsburgh Steelers do. They keep adding, like, look at our linebackers. We needed a linebacker. Who do we get? We get Patrick Queen, an exact player that we need, right? So it's like, where do these other franchises not get it to where they have to fill the holes that they're missing?
Well, I can't speak for the Browns, but I can speak on the Cowboys. We're cheap. That's their logic. They're cheap. They don't want to spend money. There's a reason there's a reason we signed Zeke instead of Derrick Henry. It's because he costs a lot less money.
And to me, it's not like you look at the Browns, right? They have a great defense, top 5 defense in the league. We saw that last year.
Yes.
Offensively, you have a great wide receiver core, but what are you missing? You're missing a freaking quarterback.
I mean, Deshaun Watson, he's pretty good, but he can't stay healthy.
He can't stay healthy, and you never know what kind of Deshaun Watson you're going to get. Who knows? I mean, Joe Flacco, for crying out loud, played better than Deshaun Watson last year.
Yeah, exactly. And Deshaun got hurt last year. There's a reason he gets hurt too. Your O-line needs upgrades.
Right.
So, like, I mean, I don't know where they get this logic from, but I'm not saying they shouldn't have re-signed Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah because he is their best defensive player. He did deserve to get paid, but they also should have put some of this money into making their team better prior to re-signing him.
Right.
But overall, good signing for the Browns. But like you said, it's not going to get them anywhere close to maybe not even the playoffs, but definitely not past the first round of the playoffs, in my opinion.
I can see them going. That's it. You're right. Because who's going to make it out into the second round? It's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be the Baltimore Ravens. It's going to be the Texans. And then you have one more. Who is it going to be? Pittsburgh?
Right. It could be. It could be Pittsburgh.
Jets?
I mean, Miami?
Miami? Right. You have the Jets, Miami, Pittsburgh. Who knows? Maybe you have the Colts or the Jags, whoever make it out of that, division.
Texans,
never know.
I mean.
Right. Well, Texans are my third. So you have you have Ravens. You have obviously Kansas City, Ravens, and the Texans. Those are my top 3 guys that are definitely going to the second round.
Oh, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, the AFC is way too deep for the Browns to make it to the second round, in my opinion, with the team they have.
Right.
Their defense is still top 5, but it's just their offense.
And they're going to be either the second or third best team in their own division, where who knows if they make playoff spot. So.
Right. Exactly. Their division is very, very deep based off what – I mean, Bengals didn't do much, but based off what the Steelers did, they jumped the Browns, and they almost jumped the Bengals. I'm not ready to say they jumped them yet. We'll see what happens in this regular season.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of the Bengals did agree on a 3-year, $16.5 million extension with kicker Evan McPherson. He will earn $10 million in new money first year of the deal. This is the highest ever for a 3-year kicker on a 3-year extension. So what is your thoughts on this deal, Gio?
I mean, I love it. To see that kid get what he deserves. He's arguably the 3rd best kicker in the league as of right now. He's still a kid. He's so accurate. He makes the craziest kicks you're gonna see. So, and he's clutch. That's what you need in a kicker. He's clutch. So, well deserved. Definitely brings, to me, I love how all these positions are getting the credit they deserve. Kickers, offensive linemen, centers, right? All these guys are getting paid now. I'm loving what I'm seeing from these, front offices in that perspective. But then again, it's like you still got Jamar Chase out hanging, right? You get this deal done, but you still got Jamar out.
Yeah. I do agree. I mean, McPherson deserved this money. He's probably one of the best kickers in the league, so he deserves this money. But yes, I didn't think about Jamar Chase. I'm pretty sure that's probably honestly why Jamar's so mad. He's like, oh, you prioritized our kicker over me, who is your best receiver? That doesn't make much sense. I'm going to hold out again. Because he was practicing. And then once this deal came out, he was like, I'm done practicing. Maybe it did have an effect on him, but there's still time to get Jamar his deal. So we'll see what happens there. But for McPherson, he deserves this type of money. He is one of the best kickers in the league, like I said, and I do agree. It's about time that kickers get the recognition they deserve. honestly, kicker might be the hardest position outside of quarterback, in my opinion, because they have so much pressure to go out there. The quarterback does all they can to get them in
Mhm.
field goal range. And then if you miss the field goal and lose the game, you you lose the team. You lose the game for your team, and your fans are going to harass you, and you just have to be prepared for it. It honestly, it's not spoken enough how hard being an NFL kicker is, and the fact that these kickers do what they do on a consistent basis, they deserve the money that they're starting to get.
Sure.
So good move by the Bengals, and hopefully they do find a way to get Jamar Chase under contract before the week 1 of the season as well. Moving on to the Minnesota Vikings signing former Cowboy Stephon Gilmore to a 1-year, $10 million deal, which includes $7 million guaranteed. So what's your opinion on this move for the Vikings, Gio?
I mean, I like it. We'll see what happens, but obviously they're not moving anywhere this year too quick. Who do they have? Sam Darnold as the quarterback? No.
Yeah, unfortunately now, yeah.
So we'll see what happens. They still got JJ. I think people are either they're looking at it like, wow, the Vikings are nothing, and they're underestimating them, and that's gonna become true, or they're gonna really shock some people because it's just to me it's a bunch of misfits, right?
I mean, it's just for me personally, I know I'm underestimating them because not because of Justin Jefferson, he's still a great receiver, not because of their defense. It's solely because of their quarterback position.
But to me, it's just a bunch of misfits put together just so that they can have a team. They might shock us. You never know.
They could. I mean, we've seen quarterback comeback stories happen before. In my eyes, I just don't think Sam Darnold has what it takes to be an NFL starter. That's just
Right.
my opinion based off what I've seen. Maybe he'll surprise us, like you said. Hopefully, for the Vikings fans' sake, he will surprise us. But overall, I just don't expect much from the Vikings. But this is a good move from the Vikings, though, because Stephon Gilmore, I can tell you firsthand, last year was a very good lockdown corner, especially after Trayvon Diggs went down with a torn ACL. We wouldn't have been as good as we were without him to back Trayvon Diggs up. So very good move by the Vikings. I was hoping that the Cowboys would keep Gilmore, but unfortunately they did not make that happen. So good move by the Vikings to sign him, especially this late. I'm surprised he was a free agent this late. So hopefully he'll be able to do what he did for the Cowboys for the Vikings. But like I said, I don't see it equating to many wins. But overall, good signing for the Vikings.
For sure.
Moving on to the safety Justin Simmons signing a 1-year, $8 million deal with the Falcons, which includes $7.5 million guaranteed. How do you feel about this signing, Gio?
Yeah, I mean, then again, like I said about their previous signing, it's good. Not gonna put them at the top of the NFC. So to me, I would like to keep moving on just because there's really nothing else I can say about the Falcons as of right now because it's just like they're making moves, they're trying. There's nothing monumental to where wow, they're really contenders in this NFC.
Yeah, I agree. They got. I'd say they got dramatically better. They're going to go from 6 wins to 10 wins, which is a dramatic increase.
Sure.
But playoff wise, still not contenders, in my opinion.
I agree.
But Justin Simmons is a good signing for them. Their defense got a lot better this year. They added Matthew Judon. They added now they added Justin Simmons. They added a lot of key pieces. They kept AJ Terrell. So their defense is going to be good, but we just have to wait and see how the chemistry on offense clicks with a new quarterback, a new system under new coach Raheem Morris and stuff like that. But overall, I think this is a good signing for the Falcons. But like you said, not enough to put them over the hump for me yet. But moving on to the Steelers naming Russell Wilson as their starting quarterback. Like I said in the talking points, though, his calf injury did pop up back again today. He was limited in practice. He's going to get it checked out, so we'll see what happens. Justin Fields might have to start week 1, but if Russell Wilson is healthy, the Steelers have named him the starting quarterback. So what do you have to say about this Steelers fan?
A bunch of nonsense. Bench him. I don't care. Justin Fields had more reps with our starting crew. This is exactly what I want to see. This is why we have Justin Fields. If Russ isn't ready, I don't care what you have to do. We have to win games this year, no matter what. I don't care if it's, people are like, okay, yeah, we've had another winning season. No. That's not what we're about. That's not what this franchise is about. We're here to win Super Bowls. This is what we do. This is like you and the Lakers. Like, it's winning time, right? This is what we
Yeah.
do as a Steelers nation. So if we have to put our pride beside us, because either way, we're not paying a single quarterback this year.
No.
Let's start the healthier quarterback, the better option, Justin Fields, until Russell Wilson can get himself situated to where he's healthy enough to play on the field at an elite level, not at a good level.
Yeah, I agree. Although I think Russell Wilson's eliteness is far behind him. Honestly, I think Justin Fields should have been named the starter prior to them naming Russell Wilson the starter. Justin Fields outperformed Russell Wilson in preseason, and he outperformed him in training camp. Justin Fields earned the starting job, in my opinion. I still believe Justin Fields should be the starting quarterback. I do believe Russell Wilson can have a bounce back season, but overall, I think Justin Fields is a better quarterback and will be for years to come.
I think Justin Fields should have that starting position as of right now for the things you just mentioned. I think Russell Wilson can have a bounce back year. Why is his eliteness, not with him? One, because he didn't have an offensive lineman last year. This time it's because of his health. Once he's healthy, once he can be mobile again, I think everything will come back to him. I think it's muscle memory. Crying out
But that's the
loud,
problem.
we had to fix Justin Fields' snap count, Jake. We had to fix it. Okay.
What do you mean?
We had to go back to the fundamentals because the kid didn't understand how to snap the ball.
The problem for me, though, Russell Wilson isn't staying healthy. Not for the rest of his career.
But I think it's because people force him to. I think here's the thing. You look at Kobe Bryant. He was being overworked. I think it was the most health he has ever had was his last year playing with the Lakers.
Yes, I agree. I can agree with that.
The last couple years before that, right? Because it was over, right?
Right. Yeah.
Do the exact same thing with Russ. I don't care what it is. Don't play him for a half a season. Get him healthy.
Well, to me, I think you guys are going to start Russ at first and then struggle. And then you'll play Justin Fields. I think it's going to be the opposite, which it shouldn't be the opposite, but I think it will be the opposite.
I think you should play Justin. If he loses a game, if he's not looking good, right? He wouldn't say he goes 3-2. Play Russ. He should be healthy.
If you have Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, well, okay, you start one. They're not playing good by halftime. You're still in the game. Throw the other one in. What's the big deal?
It's not a big deal. The only thing is you're gonna have a lot of different play sets for each quarterback, to where it's gonna get confusing for the offense, the defense. The whole thing is you need the consistency of, and obviously the big deal is that you need the reps. You need to get into a flow of the game. The unfortunate thing is with that is you have two good quarterbacks. You have two different situations going on in the quarterback room. And realistically, we really need to figure out who's going to be that starter so that we can just stick with them. We need to stick with one guy.
Well, the problem is it was Russell Wilson. They came out and said that last week. But now the calf injury is popping up. So that adds a little suspicion, in my opinion.
Right. True.
But like I said, if Russell Wilson is healthy, he is their guy. I personally think Justin Fields should be the guy just because he outperformed them in preseason. Although it is preseason, he didn't play real NFL defenses. But, I mean, he played better on the Bears than Russell Wilson did last year. I think Justin Fields is a better quarterback. But maybe a year under Russell Wilson, learning under Russell Wilson will do him some good. We'll see what happens. And hopefully the Steelers can live up to the expectations that their fans have for them.
Right.
Moving on to an unfortunate quarterback situation with rookie J.J. McCarthy undergoing knee surgery on a torn meniscus. He is now out for the entire season. So what's your thoughts on this and what it means for the Vikings, Gio?
Yeah. Obviously, this is a huge step back. I think they could have created some damage this year in the NFC. I think they would have moved forward as a unit, as a franchise. If he did stay healthy, we would have seen what kind of holes they needed to fill next year, in order for them to progress. But it's very unfortunate. We'll see what happens next year. to me, next year is the true test to what the Vikings need to do in order to help their franchise win.
Yeah, I agree. This is very unfortunate. You never want to see a player go down in preseason, let alone a rookie. I mean, he had high hopes for himself, and the Vikings had high hopes for him. So, very unfortunate situation for JJ McCarthy. But sometimes it's just the better plan happens, whether you like it or not. So maybe maybe over this season, he can learn under Sam Darnold, even though he's not the best quarterback to learn under. You still get NFL experience to learn under another NFL quarterback who started in the league. Maybe it's what's best for JJ, but yeah, I agree. This year they won't do much, even though they have Justin Jefferson. Next year will be the year where they'll make some noise and then potentially gauge what they have to do in order to become a playoff team again.
Right.
But moving on to Seahawks edge rusher Uchenna Nwosu suffering a sprained MCL and expected to miss anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. What do you think this means for the Seahawks, Gio?
Yeah, it sucks. They really need to win every game that they can, because you never know what kind of Geno Smith you're going to get in the game. You're not going to understand. You don't really know what kind of offense you're going to have. Defensively, they're coming back.
Defensively, yeah, they'll be fine.
Realistically, offensively, you really don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's why the unpredictability of that, you need to win every game you can in order to stay alive in the playoff hopes.
Yeah, I agree. This really hurts the Seattle Seahawks team as a whole, but especially their defense. Their defense last year gave up a lot of points as is. And without a top edge rusher to get pressure on a quarterback, you're just going to give up more points. And like you said, Geno Smith is a good quarterback, but he's not a great quarterback who can keep up with teams who are putting up 35 to 40 points, which is what was happening last year. So this really hurts the Seahawks. And I think they're going to have a rough start without him as their key defender for the first 2 to 6 weeks, however many weeks he misses. But after that, hopefully that he can come back and provide a spark for them moving down the stretch.
Sure.
Well, moving on to Marquise Brown suffering a sternoclavicular joint dislocation, very rare injury. He was supposed to be out for 4 to 6 weeks, but he is actually progressing much better than the Chiefs expected and could return as soon as next week, which is week 2. So what do you think this means for the Chiefs, Gio?
This is amazing. I mean, what they're doing right now against the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah. I mean, they have Xavier Worthy, who's – go ahead.
I was going to say, how scary is this team?
Bro, I was about to say, I was about to go through, like, they have Xavier Worthy, who didn't get touched on a jet sweep for 25 yards. Rashee Rice is looking insane. Travis Kelce, even though he's not getting as many balls thrown his way this game, he's still a decoy, which is opening up Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy. And then you bring Hollywood Brown, another speedster, for Patrick Mahomes, who loves to throw the ball deep. This team is built for a 3-peat. I'm not going to say they're going to 3-peat, but they are built for one.
Oh, I'm going to say they're going to win.
I personally don't want to say it. I believe they will. I just don't want to say it.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with saying something great?
I just am sick of them winning. They're turning into the Patriots, man. I was sick of the Patriots winning when they were winning, and now I'm sick of the Chiefs winning.
You're sick of winning because it's not your team. It's not my team. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to be very upset that the Steelers aren't going to win a Super Bowl. We had, like you said, we had to go through the Patriots when we were the buzzing bees. That was our best shot of winning a Super Bowl. So I'm upset about that. But at the same time, what I've learned as a sports fan is you have to appreciate what you're witnessing in real time, in the present. Like Kevin Durant, like a Steph Curry, like a LeBron James, like a Tom Brady, like a Patrick Mahomes. I don't care. Win. I just need to see that greatness.
Yeah, I guess, man. I just really want – I don't care if it's my team. Obviously, yes, I would love it if it's my team, obviously.
Right.
But I just want to see someone else hold that trophy, someone else get the glory personally.
Be better. That's all you have to do is be better. How hard is that, right?
I mean, it is pretty hard because look at what the Chiefs had last year, and they still somehow won when no one gave them a shot. As long as you have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid, you have a shot.
Who said repeat?
You said repeat.
I can't, like you said, you can't bet against Patrick Mahomes. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe they are going to three-peat. As much as I hate to say it, they if they won last year with the team they had and then added
Right.
talent like they did this past year or offseason, there's no team in the NFL that's better than them.
Especially the way they're playing against supposedly the second best team in the AFC right now.
I mean, to me, the Ravens will never scare me personally because
They're
they
trying
have
to figure it out. Don't get me wrong, they have a great team.
yeah, but they have a history of falling apart when it matters, and I don't think that's going to change.
No, and then you look. There's only one wild card team that I think that can beat them.
There's only
And
one team in my eyes that can beat Mahomes and have beat Mahomes once, and that's the Cincinnati
no,
Bengals. That's it.
you can't say that, man. Yes, they have Joe Burrow, but they are missing a lot of offensive weapons that they had before.
I mean, they still have Jamar Chase, and the Chiefs lost L'Jarius Sneed. Chase would tear them up, in my opinion. They have T. Higgins. I
Right.
think he's going to have a great year. The one thing that they are missing, Zach Moss is a good running back, but he's no Joe Mixon.
That's right.
But I think offensively, the only team that I think can keep up with them this year in the AFC is the Cincinnati Bengals. That's it. Because I feel like they can score as many points as needed. It's just, can their defense get enough stops? And that's where it gets a little dicey.
That's why, to me, for the exact reasons you just said, except for the defense, because their defense is nasty, it's going to have to be the New Jersey Jets.
New York Jets?
They play in New Jersey. I'm going to call them New Jersey. Now, the New York Jets are the only
to me.
See, they're still a wild card. Don't get me wrong, because you never know about Aaron Rodgers' health. If Aaron Rodgers stays, if he stays healthy,
if he stays healthy, yes. But he's 40. He's coming off a torn Achilles. I look at it as the same thing that happened with Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was 39 when he tore his Achilles. He came back, played for about half a year, tore his rotator cuff, tore something else in his body. Your body diminishes as you get older, especially after a serious injury. I need to see what Aaron Rodgers can do, one, after a torn Achilles at this age, and two, can he stay healthy? I hope he does. I just am very skeptical that he will. But if he does stay healthy, that Jets team will surprise a lot of people.
For sure.
And let's not forget about the Texans. The Texans could beat the Chiefs. But they are young. That's the problem.
Right. And that, to me, is going to kick them.
But if I look at the offense, if I look at the offenses on paper, the offenses are even, except the quarterback position, because Mahomes has a lot more experience in the playoffs than CJ Stroud.
Sure.
So I think it's going to be very interesting to see if the Chiefs can three-peat. I mean, they have the target on their back. I don't think anyone wants to see them three-peat except themselves and their fans, obviously. But overall, and Gio, yes. But overall, I think they are unfortunately, they are the leaders to win the Super Bowl once again this year.
Right. And you just can't bet against them. He is Michael Jordan. You couldn't bet against the Bulls when Michael Jordan was in his prime. You just couldn't do that.
No. I mean, same thing kind of goes for LeBron James when he was in Cleveland, because not only because of his greatness, also because the East was a little weak, but it was mainly because of his greatness.
You knew he was going to go to the finals. You just couldn't bet against that.
Right, 100%. And it's just how great they are. You just can't do it.
Right.
But moving back to Marquise Brown's injury, it did stink to hear that he did suffer this dislocation and would have been out for 4 to 6 weeks. But it's very good news that he is progressing very well for the Chiefs, because, as we said, he's just another weapon to add to the puzzle for defenses to stop, and they are not going to stop them. They can stop a few. They can stop one or two. You're not going to stop all four, though.
For sure.
So it just makes the Chiefs that much more dangerous. And honestly, I can't wait to see how the Chiefs use Marquise Brown, because of the fact that he has not been used right, in my opinion, in any place that he has been outside of Baltimore. Baltimore, he was used perfectly, but in Arizona, he was not used correctly, and I think that's why he fell off the map a little bit.
That's it.
but I think he's going to have probably his best year since his rookie year, in my opinion.
For sure.
But that's all we got for today's podcast. We will be back Saturday with the rest of the talking points. Any segment for today, Gio?
I do. I want to talk about this before it happens. We have the U.S. Open going on right now in tennis. Going on in New York City. We have Frances Tiafoe. We have Taylor Fritz in the semifinals right now as Americans. First time, I think, since 2009 that's happened in a major final or semifinals. Then on the women's side, we have Navarro and Pegula, right? Obviously, her family owns the Buffalo Bills, but she's an amazing tennis player. She just beat the number 1 player in the world. It looked easy. She was playing fantastic the other night. So when Jessica Pegula, plays, hopefully she wins. To me, I hope she wins the entire thing. Then we look at the men's side, and we have Frances Tiafoe, who's just killing it right now. And we have Taylor Fritz, who just played insane against Zverev. So when you look at that, it's just amazing what we got right now for American tennis.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge tennis fan, as I've said in the past, but I do keep up with it. I do read about it, and Tiafoe is probably one of the best out there right now, and I do hope he does bring one home for America.
Him and Jessica, if we could have 2 Americans win the U.S. Open, that would be amazing.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to save the video game talking points for Saturday. I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. Since the Olympics ended, Vanessa Bryant did come out and create an Olympic 2028 Games emblem honoring Kobe Bryant, given that the Games will be in Los Angeles in 2028. And Kobe always wanted the Games to be in LA. He always vouched for them to be in LA. And unfortunately, he's not here to see it. But Vanessa Bryant had a very touching tribute to him. She created an emblem using his logo in the form of an A. So it's the L and then the Kobe logo for the A, and then 2020 or 28. So I think that was a very cool tribute by Vanessa Bryant. And honestly, I hope that the Olympic Games do use this logo because it'd be a great tribute to the late great Kobe Bryant.
What they should do is, because Team USA is sponsored by Nike, instead of, like you said, instead of having the Nike logo on any jersey, on any piece of, on anything, right? Apparel, it should be the Kobe Bryant logo.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like their jerseys just use Kobe's logo.
Everything on any sport, because it's all Nike. Just use Kobe's logo.
Yeah. That would be a very touching tribute as well. So we'll see what happens and if they do end up using that logo, but I just thought it was a very cool tribute by Vanessa Bryant to create that.
For sure.
But thank you all for watching, and we will be back Saturday with the rest of the talking points.
Hey guys, we really appreciate you guys watching. Going down into the comment section, as long as it's within today and before the podcast Saturday, we'll try to get through them. Try to go through and answer your questions before then. Then if you have any material, any suggestions, please give us those as well. Look for Nick Say down in the comment section below. As once again, I'm sure he's down there. Like the podcast, if you guys liked it, we really appreciate it. And like Two Wise Men once said, subscribe, and we'll see y'all Saturday. Peace.
Yes, sir. Peace.